In 2007, Nokia sold one out of every two smartphones on Earth. One out of two. 5 years later, 3%. No war, no scandal, no fraud. The biggest phone company in the world simply evaporated while everyone watched it happen. And here's the part that hurts. The technology that killed Nokia had been sitting in their own lab for years. They built it, and they buried it. This is the story of how you can have everything: the money, the people, the technology, and still lose it all. Let's make this about you. Imagine you run a company, market value 110 billion euros. Your R&D budget is bigger than your four largest competitors combined. Your brand is so strong that in half the world, Nokia is just the word for phone. What could possibly go wrong? Everything. In 64 months, the stock down 90%, 120,000 jobs gone, and in 2013, Nokia sells its entire phone business to Microsoft for 5.4 billion euros. For perspective, that's less than Nokia earned in profit in a single good year. Why does this matter to you? Because you will make these same mistakes. Not maybe, probably, because Nokia's mistakes weren't stupid mistakes. They were logical mistakes. The kind smart people make precisely when everything is going well. And that's what makes them lethal. Everything you're about to hear comes from primary sources: Nokia's own annual reports, the infamous internal burning platform memo written by the CEO himself, and an INSEAD study where researchers personally interviewed 76 Nokia executives and engineers about what really happened inside those walls. No speculation, their own words. Let's start at the moment when everything still looked perfect. Nokia didn't lose because it innovated too little. Nokia lost because it had too much to lose. Late 1990s, the iPhone doesn't exist yet, not even close. Nokia engineers demo a phone with a touchscreen. Shortly after, a prototype tablet with an internet connection. Around 2000, Nokia is even working on an online platform to sell software straight to phones, an app store, nearly a decade before Apple. So what happened to all of it? Nothing. Into the drawer. Stop. Sit with that for a second. The company that would be crushed by the touchscreen phone had the touchscreen phone. First, why did management shelve it? Simple math. Nokia was selling hundreds of millions of classic phones a year at margins you dream about. Every euro spent on a risky touchscreen experiment was a euro taken away from a machine that demonstrably worked. The numbers said don't, and the numbers were right. That quarter and the next one. Right up until the quarter, they were catastrophically wrong. Your takeaway: your most dangerous competitor is your own best-selling product. When a new idea threatens your current revenue, that's not a reason to bury it. It's proof that someone else is about to build it. Now you might be thinking, fine, missed opportunity. But with enough money, you can always catch up, right? Nokia had more money than anyone. Watch what happened. Money doesn't buy direction. Money hides the fact that you don't have one. In the decade before its collapse, Nokia poured roughly $40 billion into research and development, about 4 times what Apple spent over the same period. 4 times. Where did it go? Everywhere. And that was exactly the problem. The operating system, Symbian, had to be rebuilt for nearly every phone. Dozens of variants, dozens of screen sizes, every version with its own custom tweaks. Engineers spent months rolling out a single update across the lineup. Meanwhile at Apple, one system, one phone a year, every dollar pushing in the same direction. Here's the comparison that sums it all up. Nokia built 100 bridges halfway across the river. Apple built one all the way. And the engineers knew. Internal teams warned that Symbian couldn't survive against iOS and Android. There was even a modern alternative in-house, Migo, but that project never got full commitment because committing to it meant letting go of Symbian, the cash cow. Recognize the pattern from section 1? That's not a coincidence. Your takeaway: don't count how much you spend on innovation. Count how many directions it splinters into. 10 projects at 10% will lose to one project at 100. But here's the real question. If the engineers knew, why didn't the top ever hear it? For that, we need to go to the darkest part of this story. Nokia didn't die of technology. Nokia died of fear. That INSEAD study from the intro, 76 interviews with managers and engineers, reached a conclusion that had nothing to do with tech. Middle managers were afraid to send bad news upward. Top leadership had a reputation for being volatile. Say the iPhone is a threat, or Symbian won't make it, and you were labeled negative. Not ambitious, a career risk. So what did managers do? They filtered. Every layer made the report a little sunnier. By the time information reached the boardroom, a fire alarm had turned into a weather forecast. And now, honestly, when was the last time you told your boss or your client or your investor that their plan won't work? Exactly, that knot in your stomach? That knot is what killed Nokia. The bizarre result: Nokia's leadership genuinely believed, deep into 2010, that they had the situation under control. Not because they were stupid, because their own organization was systematically protecting them from the truth. Your takeaway: measure how fast bad news reaches you. That's the real health metric of your company or your team. If bad news travels slower than good news, you're already losing. You just don't know it yet. In 2011, someone finally arrived who said the truth out loud, and that's when things went truly wrong. Telling the truth without a plan is just as deadly as lying. February 2011. The new CEO, Stephen Elop, freshly hired from Microsoft, sends an internal memo that becomes world news. He compares Nokia to a man standing on a burning oil platform in the North Sea. Staying means death, so you have to jump into ice-cold water. Honest? Brutally honest. Finally. But then came the jump. Elop announces, Nokia is dumping Symbian and its own alternative Migo, and betting everything on Windows Phone. One problem: the first Nokia running Windows Phone didn't exist yet. It wouldn't ship until the end of that year. Do you see what's happening here? Nokia told the world, everything we currently sell is a dead end. Don't buy it. Wait for something that doesn't exist yet. Customers listened. Symbian sales collapsed. Months before there was anything to buy instead. Carriers canceled orders. The revenue gap became a crater. This has a name: the Osborne effect. Declaring your own product dead before its successor is ready. 2 years later, it was over. September 2013. Microsoft buys the phone division for $5.4 billion. The company that owned half the world market in 2007 now fit inside its rescuer's wallet. Your takeaway: timing beats honesty. Never announce the demolition of the old before the new is standing. Customers won't wait for your promise. They'll walk to the competitor who delivers today. Back to that number from the start. 1 out of 2. Down to 3%. Now you know how. A touchscreen in a drawer. 40 billion with no direction. An organization that filtered out the truth. And one memo that set the house on fire. Honestly, but too early. 4 mistakes, not one of them technical, all of them human. So here's your one action for today. A single question, ask it this week to yourself or your team. What bad news is too risky to say out loud around here? The answer to that question is your own burning platform. Find it before it finds you. Every week on this channel, I break down one company that had everything and lost it, or had nothing and won. Next week, the company that invented the digital camera and died because of it. If you don't want to miss that lesson, you know what the button does. See you then.